I don't think we really need it, but just so we don't have any things.
Okay. 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 Started the recording. Okay.
Hey,
Are
Elizabeth.
you sharing your screen, Allison?
I can. I know we didn't talk about what parts of it we're each doing, but yeah, I can share.
Uh, uh, well, you can start us off, and I can control the slides if you want.
Yeah, either way.
And when we go to the demo part, I can control that.
Okay, you want to do the demoing?
Yeah, I can do
Okay,
that.
cool.
So maybe I should just share
Okay,
so that, and then you talk, and you don't have to worry about slides.
sure, sure.
Cool.
That sounds good.
Daniela, are you alone in the FTLCL?
Yes.
Aw,
It's okay. I'm gonna drink my tea and eat my cookies all by myself.
Have some
I'm
peace.
sorry I couldn't come in. I had to be driven crazy by fire alarms. All
It's
right.
okay.
I
You
have
can
to
see
say,
that,
I'm
right?
surprised there aren't more people here.
I know when I did
Yeah.
8 sessions last fall, they were always like pretty full. Maybe people will trickle in.
It is early,
Yeah.
or like only 2 minutes after start.
That's true. Do we want to wait a couple more minutes? Is that maybe till 2:05?
Yeah, maybe let's wait a couple more.
So while we're waiting, I wanted to let y'all know that Google has AI Essentials in Grow with Google that is available for to us for free. If anybody is interested, just let me know and I'll send you an invite.
I'd say. And I didn't get a chance to say hi and welcome, but hi, Adirle. Hi, Maureen. Welcome, you guys. Thanks for being here.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, did I pronounced your name right? I hope, Adirle. Tell me if I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Oh,
Ejili.
perfect. Okay,
Yes.
good. Welcome and welcome to Kenyatta.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
What department are you in? I'm Elizabeth Early. Nice to meet you.
Humanities. Yeah, I'm teaching psychology.
Oh,
this
okay.
semester.
Awesome. Have we met before and I forgot? Maybe you were at the orientation for
I
VACO?
was at the orientation.
Okay.
You have very good memory, Elizabeth,
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
because I have a difficult name, so it's a unique name.
I always have that problem where I meet people in person and then I realize that I've emailed them like many times. Like I've just never met them physically in person. So they're like, I mean, technically we've met, like an email. I'm like, yeah, I guess that counts.
Hey, before we get started, is there a way, because I see the AI brainstorm session like
The
screen,
slide. Hmm.
the slides on all three
Mm.
monitors.
Yeah.
Is it possible to not have that?
Yeah, on the control panel, so not the one that has like the zoom controls. There should be the other one where you can choose what displays on the two screens. It should be like center and then like left and right. So you can choose for like left and right should be like gallery view or something like that. Might bring up the people rather than the slides.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I will work on that.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks everyone for joining. We're just gonna wait another minute um, to let anyone join a little bit late, and then we'll get started. I see Daniel joined. Welcome.
Oh, Daniel, do you know they could see
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Oh, you're in person too. Hello. Cool. All right. Well, Lindsay, do you think we should get started?
Yeah, that sounds good with me.
All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here. Um, this is going to be our AI brainstorm session. And Lindsay and I are co-presenting. So if you don't know us, my name's Allison Hughes. I'm Kenyatta's instructional designer. And you can see my email down there in case you need to email me any questions that don't get answered today or any follow-ups. And then Lindsay, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name's Lindsay Irizarry. I'm the new instructional technologist at Kenyatta College. Been here since May now, so I have some months under my belt.
Yeah.
But I was supporting Canvas way before that as well. But today we're focusing on a more different topic.
Adjacent, but different. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What's our next slide? Objectives?
Yes.
I hope I updated these. So today what we're going to do is we're going to actually, just for a little bit at the beginning, we're actually going to test some AI tools. So if you've wondered what students actually get when they go and use an AI tool to like do an assignment or answer a test question, we can actually put it to the test and see what they do. So then you can kind of have a better idea of how to maybe combat them and talk about them with your students. Some of you might have been in a session with me where we did that previously. So it's going to be a little bit of a repeat, but everyone always finds it really helpful as like a refresher of what our AI friends can actually do. So we're going to do that for a bit at the beginning. And then we're going to spend hopefully most of our time kind of brainstorming. So we're going to do a mind mapping exercise and kind of collect our questions about AI, the things we want to try out, learn more about, and also if anyone's doing things, AI related things, writing assignments differently or writing AI statements in your syllabi, things like that, using AI to create parts of your assignments, any of those things, it would be great for you to share them and we can add them to our little mind map so we can start kind of collecting all the possibilities that AI brings. So before we get started, any questions, comments?
Feelings.
Yeah, I was gonna say AI can be triggering. If you have any big feelings that you want to talk about, we can talk about them. I saw some folks joined. Thanks for being here. Thank you for joining. Awesome. Okay, so for this initial section of testing the AI machines, if you can take a moment to think of a prompt, test question, equation, essay prompt, anything that you use to assess your students' learning. If you want to test it in an AI tool, if you can put that in the chat, Lindsay will run it through an AI tool of our choosing. And these are kind of the ones that I most often hear that folks want to test. I should probably add like Copilot, stuff like that. But really, I mean, some of them are basically the same, pretty similar. So we can run those prompts through these and see what we get. So take a couple minutes and we'll just do a couple of them. We might not get to everyone's, but we'll just take maybe 10, 15 minutes and see what the AI machines can do for us. Yeah, Elizabeth.
So my prompts are like a full one side of an 8.5 by 11. Can I just drop a document in to the?
Sure. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Certain-
the more detail, the better, so we can see what it comes up with.
Yeah, certain AI tools don't allow you to just drop documents in, but you can definitely just copy and paste the text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
If you want
text
to,
won't fit in the chat.
yeah, if you want to
Yeah.
send us the document, then Lindsay can copy
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Just
so
do the
email it?
text. But either way,
You
you could email
should-
it or you could put it in the chat, whatever's easiest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should be able to attach files.
If it's
Okay.
easier to email it, that works too.
Yeah. So
Does it matter what format, like if it's a PDF or a Microsoft Word?
Word would be
Probably
would be better, so we
Okay.
can
Yeah.
copy the text out of it.
All right.
Yeah, and so
Oh.
Hyla put a great one in the chat about coding. So just to highlight, really we can try anything. So any type of assignment, any type of question, it doesn't have to be like a writing prompt. Although those are great too. But just if you have them, share them. So okay, so we're gonna try this first one with Chat GPT. Let's see what we get. How do you code a random number generator?
And it spits out code.
There you go.
You can create a random number generator that produces numbers between 1 and 100 while removing any prime numbers from the output. Here's a simple way to do this in Python. Did you want to modify this in any way?
Yeah, what do you
after
think,
getting-
Hyla, of what you
Yeah.
got? What do you think?
I think it would likely work.
Yeah,
It was actually a fairly simple thing, but that was so I could check it.
yeah, yeah.
And it gives you a nice
And a little explanation. That's nice.
All right. Okay, I just got that file.
In one of the previous sessions that I did, we had Nadine from computer science, and she had a coding question that we put in, and hers was like it was almost too accurate. Like it would be obvious if a student just copied and pasted that code and submitted it. 'Cause it's like a senior developer level of coding with like the different syntax and everything. So
Well, and part of it's interesting because one of the challenges that I've heard from people is if you're using ChatGPT to bug test your code in addition to generating the code, the bug testing doesn't necessarily adhere to the parameters that you gave it the first time around. So that's kind of interesting.
mm.
Okay.
Or does it assume it's right because it came up with it?
No, it doesn't.
It's like, what's
actually.
great?
So the use case was that we were doing something for Unity, and so it was the parameters were syntax that would be appropriate for use in Unity, and the bug testing went through and replaced it all with Microsoft instead of Unity syntax. So that was kind of interesting. But what my high level programmer friends say is that it's like having an entire cadre of junior programmers under you. So it makes you as a senior programmer able to code super duper fast. So now the challenge is, how do we get junior programmers to be able to keep up to the point that they have more value add than a senior programmer with ChatGPT?
Interesting.
All right, so I copied most of what your assignment included. I didn't include the part about grading because I'm not sure if ChatGPT will use that information in any way. But can you give us a summary of what this assignment is, or like what you're asking the student?
They have to read two texts, pick an issue that is covered in both texts and compare and contrast the author's perspectives on the issue, supporting their claims with quotations from the both texts. And they have to do a point by point comparison. So there has to be one quote from each author in each paragraph. It's 5-paragraph essay, introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. And I will say that I have had students attempt to use Chat GPT or whatever they use to do assignments like this, and it's terrible. Like it's immediately obvious.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Everything from fabricated quotations to and then the writing is just it
yeah,
kind of makes me a little sick to my stomach. Like something about it that's like watching bad CGI.
yeah, yeah,
Totally.
yeah. So it looks like it created an outline for the student. Like if I was the student and put it inside, it looks like it basically set up your what you're going to talk about in each of these paragraphs from your assignment, but it didn't actually write the assignment. But see,
So how do people feel about that? Like I also have to teach them how to outline, like that's part of the assignment too. So that's one of the assignments is to create an outline. Um, but I
yeah,
give
because
them I give them a very specific outline to fill in, and it doesn't look like that. So
mm,
like I don't know what to tell. Like what I'm trying to figure out are there anything like is there a way that they can use the AI that number one is actually helpful to their learning as opposed to just making them jump over it.
mhm.
And then, yeah, so I guess that's really what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I mean, if anybody's been in a meeting with me about AI before, they know how negatively I feel about it. So, but I'm just trying to, broaden my horizons and
Mhm. Mhm.
such. So I
What
guess I'm
about
asking other people who have to guide students through the essay writing process, like, would you advise them to use this tool to help them to figure out how to outline their paper, or would you forbid them from doing that? I'm just trying to see what other people think. Or try to forbid them. I mean,
yeah?
Yeah, Sarah.
I think it's a really important and interesting question, Elizabeth. And I know that as I go through some of the same conversations with folks, it comes down to that. I know faculty, and this is faculty who teach some element of composition, whether it's English, Lit, ESL, other languages, it doesn't matter. Those who actually have composition as the core, there are some folks that just make the parameters very specific so that you're teaching the students how to use the tool to help you brainstorm, to help you create that outline, et cetera, et cetera. It takes a lot of work to get to that point too. So I can't sit here and say, yeah, you should totally do that because it takes some time. There are some examples as people are starting to share out what they're using as far as strategies. Um, they're they're coming to the forefront. I think I saw that Modern Languages Association is having a conference or a webinar on this. And I don't know when that is. I know there's discussion about that, and I think that's something that I certainly will boost the signal on that one so that folks will who are interested can attend. Um, I know for my own classes, I say you can use it as a thought partner, but I want to see the transcript. So you have to submit the transcript of, what it jumps or, what it throws out at you so that I can see, yeah, you're using it pretty well or no, you're not. But also there's a part of me that cringes as well, right? That, okay, like, yes, I want my students to feel like they have a tool, but I also want them to start thinking for themselves and go through the process themselves too. So I don't know that there is one answer though. So
yeah, I mean, I think just to add quickly, sorry if I'm taking up too much time, but I had a conversation with a friend of mine who I went to graduate school with, who is like deeply dyslexic. And she pointed out to me that, she was always considered to be a very poor, and I met her in grad school for English, right? We were in an English PhD program at Brown, okay? And she was considered to be a very poor English student until computers came into use and she could do spell checks. And like that to me, like I know I love to write and writing is easy for me. And I think that is like creates a blind spot, like, that makes me like, you don't need these tools. Like, but she was like, well, you know, like that's you. You don't need the tools. So anyway, I mean, yeah, so that's the new thing that has been added into my attempt to figure this all out.
Mhm.
Anyway, thanks for that answer, Sarah. That's helpful.
Can,
Well,
can I add one thing too? I'm sorry.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, just like looking over, I just briefly sort of looked at where it actually spit out the essay. But one of the things that it seems like to me is that, and this is something that I think students struggle with anyway, is that we're asking them to like make an argument about something. And we're asking them to support that argument then with like evidence, from the text and from what they found, at least for this assignment. And I think like one thing that ChatGPT like doesn't do very well is make and support an argument. And I feel like it's the same in this. And so, part of the issue for me is that, like they might use something to support their writing, and it might help the process, but like if it doesn't fully actually do the thing that I was asking them to do, then it hasn't really served them well. That's a thing I think that's a little bit hard to help students understand. And I don't know if other people have like strategies, because it's not really it's not the tool itself that I'm really opposed to them using. It's just that like I don't usually get what I was looking for when they use it.
Mhm.
I don't know how to approach that part of it.
Well, that one I know, what some folks have tried is like to give students a prompt or a choice of prompts, and they have to go ask ChatGPT to write an essay, and then they have to edit that essay with like a rubric that you give them for that essay so that they can see firsthand how bad it is. You know what I mean? So like some people do that as like a very early on initial assignment to like address AI use in your class, and you know, just make it clear to students like it's out there, but use it with a grain of salt, right? Like it's not going to just give you a complete essay that you can just copy and paste and submit and you get an A, which some students think it does, and they're not aware that it doesn't. Maureen, yeah.
Hey everybody. I'm in my car, but I'm not driving. Okay. I'm parked in the Redwood City parking lot. So I was just going to say that, yes, I had like a semester of total existential crisis because so many students used some form of ChatGPT. And when I would like point it out to them that it was given 100% AI score on one of the like checkers that I've used, like that one GPT-0 or 0GPT, I think they both exist. Like I usually would do multiple checks and then just write like a very kind of bland, here's what these checkers say, or like, and also it's very obvious, like Elizabeth was saying, it's super obvious when it's written by one of these things. And a lot of them would say that they had used like some plug-in tool that was like to polish their writing. So I had to be really specific on my syllabus that the plagiarism policy includes like any of these apps that change their writing. And then I made a video going over what I meant by that, and they watch it and they have to sign a pledge. And I, still will get the occasional thing, but I decided to kind of change a lot of my writing assignments to be more critique of other pieces of writing. So they still do have to do all the same skills, but then, like, for example, weekly discussions will be, a bunch of thesis statements. This week, they're like looking at 10 thesis statements, and I grabbed these from previous semesters. So they're anonymized, but they're still like varying degrees of good and bad thesis statements, strong or weak, I should say. And then they have to choose 3 and then write like a critique of like, is it strong? Is it weak? Why is it strong? Why is it weak? These kinds of things. And I find that they're not using ChatGPT type things as much for those kinds of assignments, because it's like, they they want to like share their thoughts. It's a little bit more, I'm basically encouraging them to be the critics and they like it. I've had a lot less submissions of AI based stuff. And then like usually I'll just have some small low stakes assignments early on, discussion boards and things like that that they have to do online, because I find that if they have like a discussion board that they do online, the people who plan to use AI are going to show themselves really quickly, right? Um, and I know that there are people who are probably using some sneaky tools that are not detectable, and that's kind of why I wanted to join today, is to hear more about like how are we confronting the fact that now some of them are trained to like humanize the writing, which doesn't actually humanize it. It just makes it undetectable by the traditional detectors. So like I can read it and know this student did not write this without the help of some kind of program assistance, but I have no concrete way of pointing that out. Anyway, all this to say, after like a total breakdown of like, oh my God, what am I going to even teach? I started moving into more teaching a lesson on a topic like thesis statements, or, you know, they're going to be doing body paragraphs soon, and then doing a lot more peer review, doing a lot more critiquing of the writing, because yeah, they seem to like that. And then I think it also still teaches what I want them to learn. And my research paper is turning into more of a narrative exploration of a topic that's of interest to them, where the majority of the writing is going to be like diary entries or an ethnography of a person, you know, like just moving away from the research paper. Because I had a semester where in my online class, about 66%, like 2/3 of the class submitted something that beeped on the AI generated. And there was like a bunch of like studies that didn't even exist. And it was such a mess. And, you know, this was, I think, last fall, and I'm grading finals into like mid-December. And I'm thinking like, I can't, I have to just let this one go, because I'm not going to fail 2/3 of my students, give them a 0 on their final research project, and then deal with like the onslaught of emails into the new year. I don't know. So I don't have an answer. My heart goes out to all other people who have to deal with writing and AI informed work. And I'm about to be driving, so I'm not going to be available to talk, but you know, I'm listening.
Thanks, Maureen. Thanks for being here. And those were actually really good ideas. I think like some of those things, like focusing more on student choice and prompts that involve student voice rather than things that ChatGPT can come up with, those are great strategies. I will say, I think we'll move on soon to our brainstorm portion, but I will say on the note of checkers, AI checkers, none of the AI checkers, the Turnitin one or Chat GPT-0, have ever been very reliable from the beginning. They gave false positives and whatever the opposite of a false positive is, a positive negative. They've been unreliable in both directions, and I think that will continue because remember, AIs are, thanks, Sarah, false negative. Thank you. AIs use machine learning, right? So they learn. They're going to get smarter and they're going to get better, especially as we're putting information into them, right? They're going to get better at what they do. So I don't think it's a bad thing to use a checker, but I would never rely on it. And I think my personal opinion is that it'll be more effective and productive to focus on like strategies to either make your prompts AI proof, or leverage AI in your assignments than it is to try and check for AI after the fact. But that's a whole other thing. So to give us some time for our brainstorming session, which this is a great time to transition into that, we put together this little slide of ideas and concerns. If you can go back one, Lindsay, really quick. So this slide, and then there's some links in the chat that I'll try to add into this slide that you all shared. Thank you for those. So there's some idea resources for things to get us thinking about ways to use AI, things other folks are doing. And then also some concerns. So some of you have probably seen me share these same resources before, but AI always comes with a variety of concerns, even beyond plagiarism. AI is like you know, they're not an AI's knowledge base is the internet, which we all spend time on the internet and know that there is a large amount of garbage on the internet, right? So AI has biases and racial blind spots, just like we all do. That first article under concerns, a university student put in her headshot to an AI and asked it to make her look more professional, and it made her look white, you know? So, while I do recommend using AI tools in our assignments and things like that, just always keep in mind that they are pulling from the internet with their information. So what you get out of them is not always going to be valuable. So I'll put the link to the slides, or maybe Lindsay, do you mind putting the link to the slides in the chat? So folks can click through some of these ideas and concerns if you need to get any ideas before we go into our brainstorming session. Ideas for questions, ideas for things you want to try, concerns you would like to think about how to address, things like that. And then before we jump into brainstorming, that first link under ideas is our own district teaching and learning committee's guidance on AI, a draft document. And Sarah is here to give us a little preview of this document. And yeah, Sarah, take it away.
Yeah, so first of all, know that this is something that the District Teaching and Learning Committee, which is a standing committee of District Academic Senate, we worked on this for over a year. This is draft as a document. The eventual place will be actually more as a website, so this is something that we can continuously update. And I don't know what happened to the rest of it. There's just a random extra page in there. Okay. Duly noted. I know something else that has to get updated. Yeah, exactly. Draft. But the resources that we have, this is just the starting group of resources. We're actually going to continue adding to this as things go. This is also in consultation with the district DAC committee. So the DE folks also have a pretty big hand in this as well. And the last thing to point out is that the approach that we decided to take after listening to our group's membership as well as our colleagues across the district is that a guidance would probably be a better idea for right now, that a specific policy, one size doesn't fit all on something like this. That said, we'll be having syllabus language. We'll be, so things that you can put in your syllabus on your Canvas shells, so that you can tailor to what you want your students to use and how you want them to use it or not. We also really understand that this is not going to address every single element. So we're constantly going to be looking to, here, not just update based on technology, but based on what everybody is seeing in the classroom. What are your experiences? How can we address these things? So please take, the link is in the slide deck. This is going through participatory governance across the district. The hope is that we can have this finalized by December so that it is ready. It's, on a website with all the updates and everything, ready for spring semester. So thank you.
And I just put the link in the chat just in case you didn't want to open it up.
Appreciate that. Oh, one more thing I forgot to add is if you do have thoughts, as I said, this is going to definitely come to Academic Senate at least once. I'm not sure when yet. Still trying to work on that. And then you can always email me directly, and I'll drop it for those that don't know me well or don't know my email address. I'll throw it into the chat. And please fire away any comments, etc.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Okay, so moving into our brainstorming portion, we have about 20-ish minutes here. Before we dive into filling in this mind map, I just want to do a little plug. The tool we're using is called Lucid, and we now have a district license for it. So if you have mind mapping needs in your courses, we now have a tool you can use for that. They have a Canvas integration that, full transparency, doesn't work well right now, but they are working on it because I yelled at them about that. So stay tuned for that part of it, but it's still a great tool even outside of Canvas. And you're going to get to see a demo of it today. So another one of those resources listed on that ideas slide was this long resource from, I think it was the University of Central Florida. I think I've shared it with a lot of you before, but they have a long list of ways to use AI, and they kind of have these 4 main categories. Banning AI use, so things like a syllabus statement, a code of conduct, things like that. Making things AI proof, which you've heard me mention. So those are like assignments where it'd be near impossible to get an AI to help you with them. Using AI as an ethics teaching moment, so kind of leveraging the issues and concerns that come along with using AI, or the way AI is being used as teaching moments if they relate to your course content. And then lastly, utilizing AI for teaching. So things like making AI write an essay, having students edit it, or having AI argue a point with you, going back and forth with an AI, or even interviewing an AI, asking an AI to pretend to be a person of historical significance and talking to them, things like that. So those are kind of our 4 categories of ideas, questions. And so the idea for this is that we'll start collecting questions that people have, things you want answers for, things you're already doing, ideas you want to try out. And we'll start to connect the dots between what we're doing, what we want to do more of. And hopefully we can grow this and get some answers and ideas for folks. So if you have any of those things, ideas, questions, things you're already doing, you want to add, feel free to unmute and share them, or you can put them in the chat if that's easier.
I can add them too.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put a branch for questions.
We are mic'd in here so they can hear us if we raise questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I know, like, Elizabeth, you had said your question was like specifically for essay writing. What are there benefits of AI? What can AI bring that's helpful? So like that's a good one.
And making things AI proof. We talked about that a bit, making them more
Yeah, Daniel. Yes, student choice.
Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not used to this. This might fall under ethics teaching moment or not, but something I was doing at the start of this semester and that I've been kind of reinforcing is kind of trying to contextualize the reality of what it's like to be a teacher dealing with AI from the student's perspective. It's like, I need to get this thing done, or I don't want to think about it, or there could be a variety of different motivations. But from my perspective, it's like, you just made me spend an hour or however long grading a machine's writing, right? There's kind of like a dilemma of like you're asking me as your teacher to spend time, energy, care, concern, close reading, trying to give you feedback. And I'm really actually giving feedback to a machine that doesn't care or value my feedback at all. And so, I mean, I'm not overly defensive or hostile about it, but I am kind of like, hey, please don't use this. I'm pretty much on the side of like, I don't love this tool. I don't find it, its pros kind of outweigh the cons in general. I'm willing to be swayed on that, but my kind of approach has been, you know, I'm here for you. I'm here to help you. I want to see your writing. I want to see your voice. And if you use this machine, I end up spending time talking to this machine, and I want to be talking to you. And I can't expect everybody to be magically kind of like convinced by that. And I even have had a couple students who have been using it this semester, and that's been a different issue to get into. But I do feel like it is helpful to at least get that context out there, to have students might start to think like, imagine like what the teacher is actually going to read this. Like somebody's going to have to spend time looking at this, and maybe that will move the meter a little bit.
Mhm. I love that. That's like an ethics teaching moment, but also like an empathy teaching moment. Like I'm a real person too, you know?
Like, don't make me read this.
Yeah. Please don't make me grade ChatGPT's writing.
I do something kind of similar, but I really try to promote the importance of like the things that they have to say. And it works fairly well with my English 100 course because the conversation is all about like their generation and how it's different. And so I'm like, I don't, you know, like I don't care what the computer thinks about this. Like I care what you think about this, and I want your voices to enter the conversation. And so like if you submit something that's written by ChatGPT, it's a lost opportunity for you to actually engage in this conversation. And I don't know, again, like I don't know how much it actually impacts them, but like trying to like personalize it or like humanize the experience, like even if writing is hard, or even if school is hard, you know, that you have this opportunity to like engage with the ideas.
Mhm. Like don't miss that opportunity. Yeah, David.
Yeah, kind of going along with that theme, I've tried an experiment to break my big online class into smaller discussion groups and to stress in the first assignment, you're writing for your colleagues, you're not writing for me. And so far in that first assignment, I have about 20 papers turned in, and only one is obviously ChatGPT. So that I consider that pretty good results. And
Yeah.
also I'm trying to stress, and this goes along with this, hey, you're doing this not because the world needs more student essays, but you're doing this because you want to learn how to write and think. I'm stressing in the first half of the semester, I don't count off for mistakes. I mean, if you made the word count, you have an A. And then I do a lot of grading. I do a lot of commentary about, that was the wrong word choice for this musical concept, and so it puts a lot of work on me. But I'm just urging them to explain it's a formative assignment, and so make mistakes, and I'll engage with them. But yeah, nobody wants to correct a chat. I'm going to add that. Thank you. I'm going to add that. I don't want to be grading the computer. I don't want to be correcting the computer.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the category of make things AI proof. Like could be ethics too, but
well, social
like,
pressure, I guess.
yeah, like that community pressure, and also like keeping the stakes in perspective, you know? It'd be interesting to survey students who use ChatGPT about why they do it. Is it like a time crunch? Is it overwhelm or unpreparedness, you know?
I think
Sorry, you're in a blind spot in the room, so I couldn't see if you physically raised your hand. Sorry.
I was just going to say, sort of along those lines, one thing that I do in my English classes often is I have students meet with me individually to talk about what they're going to write about on their paper, and I help plan and develop their ideas so that they are getting that support right at that formative stage where maybe they don't have the confidence, they don't think they have anything interesting to say, they don't know how to, whatever. And then we can talk through it and they end that meeting really having some ideas and some clarity on the assignment and how to approach it. So hopefully they don't go to some AI system for the next step because they have more confidence then about what they're.
That's a good one. What else? Has anybody tried any AI things, AI related things yet? How'd they go?
As for the math department, we are starting to brainstorm on how to use AI for mathematics. We're just talking right now. We have different stuff than English, right? Because students can absolutely just ask the AI to write their assignments. What I do with my students, I tell them that you are way more smarter than the AI. And then first day of school, it's really seriously. We first day of school, we just ask one of the AIs to really answer a math question. And then we say, oh, that is not correct. The answer is not correct. And the AI will bring another different answer. And then I just showed, this is the reality. I mean, AIs are not smart. They said, look, they are changing the answer. They are not even confident about their math. So I try to use AI. Our problem is with other websites like that, where like Jig, where you can find answers to homework problems from almost every textbook.
Oh,
that is the issue that we're really in fact for mathematics we're facing. But for me, I just ask written homework by hand, and then I see the way they did it, and they say, you did this in the homework. How come it's not correct in the exam? What's going on? So they are aware of what's going on. But we are actually excited as a math department to think of how can we utilize AI in mathematics. This is something that we are really working on.
Have you asked AI that question?
It's a very good. This is a very good question. I'm gonna do it. So they're gonna be like, they're gonna give me options, a lot of options, but I don't know. It's a very good question to ask the AI. I talk to AI a lot, by the way. It is good. It is good.
I was thinking about this in general. Like, I want to ask AI, how can we get students to keep from using AI on their essays, right? And see what it would tell me.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Maybe we should ask it right now.
I was going to say, I have asked it a couple times, and it comes up with some ideas that are being pulled from a lot of these articles from our professional organizations for stuff like the ASCCC OERI, all these different resources, which is funny. And then I usually respond back with, well, thank you. Now, what do you think about that information? And the response to that question is hilarious. And it's changing every time I put it in. So I put it in every 6 months just to see what it is that it comes up with.
Oh, there we go. Well, these are the same answers we just came up with.
Interesting. I like that. I like that it's encourage research skills. And then Maureen was just saying that her research paper was the most heavily AI used assignment she had.
I was wondering, because I see Lorraine, I don't know if you're available, but I was wondering how AI is impacting counselors.
Hi, I'm just an outsider right now. The reason I joined is basically because AI is so prevalent now, and so when students come in, especially during the semester, and if they're struggling and stuff, I'd like to hear how instructors are handling, or using or not using AI, so I can better help the students in understanding what their options are. So that's why I'm here. Um,
That, Laura.
huh? I'm sorry?
Here, here.
Thanks. But yeah, so I'm more of an outsider trying to support both the teachers, the instructors, as well as the students, and seeing how I can help.
I was at the conference at Skyline College about the AI and teaching, and I've learned that AIs have like a tokens, means if you ask AI question, it gives you an answer, but if you ask it another 3 times, they're gonna give you up to 3 times different answers, but gonna repeat back again. It is so AI doesn't have critical thinking. It just, and because it works on token, and it is not that fact really feel me relieved from the stress of using AI, and give me that, because we still have we have always more capacity than the AIs, and then they don't have the critical thinking, and they have like a special way to answer, and it is very they say it's with no emotion, no critical thinking, nothing, no intelligence, nothing. Yeah, I mean, if students know that also, they will really avoid depend on the AI all the time, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to share in the chat, in case like sharing parts of this for your students is helpful. I just listened to a podcast about a guy who he made an AI, basically like a voice clone of himself, and he made it call his friends, and he actually has his own podcast, and he had it like host his podcast for him. And so you can hear the AI like call up his friends and ask them things, and like how terrible it is. Like they all start laughing as soon as they answer the phone. Like it sounds exactly like him, but like the way it talks and the things it says, it's just hilarious because it's just clearly like a robot, So I thought it was an interesting, like real time example of like how AI can be really cool, but also just not quite there, like you can think it's doing a great job, but it's just not the same, it's never going to be the same. So I'll put that in the chat in case it's helpful for anybody as an example.
Maybe that's like the silver lining with AI too. Like in the past, I'm hearing some ideas about how people might use it, like write an essay using AI and then edit it. I think that's a really great idea. Something I've done in the past has been to have AI write a very, very, very short story and then distribute it in class, but not tell students it was written by AI, and ask for general impressions and feedback. And in the past, there's been some hemming and hawing, and before students started to be a little bit more critical of it. And then you sort of drop the bombshell. This was written by a machine. And that's a cool way into talking about style and close reading, both sides of the coin, like how to read closely by looking at this kind of writing, but then also how to think about your own writing choices at that level of like, even not just idea, but sentence by sentence, how like a sentence can be profoundly more interesting when it's written by a human. And here's the evidence of it. And my hope is to eventually somehow make grammar fun through AI by talking about grammatical choices and through the lens of rhetoric, because the machine isn't really interested in rhetoric. It's just interested in information. Mm-hmm. So it's all generalities. It's not trying to sway you of anything. It's just trying to info dump. And so I think there's a way through. I haven't figured it out yet though, but I think that might be the silver lining, is it's so bad at so many things that it's a great model to use to talk about these things.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see an AI poem.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you imagine? Because if you don't have intelligence, like how do you write poetry? Right. So interesting.
Oh, it does, by the way. You can ask it to do it. It comes up with some, shall we say, interesting
mimicry. mimicry. It's like a bird reciting what it thinks poetry is without any understanding.
Probably not as well as a bird would.
Right. These are light shade of red.
Oh, wow.
Almost all AI poetry
Oh,
rhymes.
wow, look at that. Heartfelt.
See that you can spend a whole time class just analyzing that.
Mhm.
Maybe side by side with another poem.
It sounds like bad music lyrics.
Make it less heartfelt. Less feelings, please. That's funny.
The sky's so blue.
Less joy. Make it sad.
Oh,
Include
Silence.
other.
Ask it if
Include
it can write a sestina.
there.
Oh,
no, you're done.
yeah.
Can I just say that, like, one of the things that really makes me angry is that, like, so they've created this quote unquote tool, which I guess they're not charging the students to use yet, or I don't know if that's true or not, if ChatGPT is still free.
There's a free version.
If you want to use GPT-0, you can use it like 7 times. I mean, I know I've used all of mine, and now I can't use it anymore unless I get a license, unless I pay for it.
Mhm.
You know, and so I just feel like they get you at both. Like, it's just them trying to make money. Like, they don't care if it's helpful to the students or if it's good for their critical thinking or whatever. It's just a way to get us to use their product. And you know, it just infuriates me that, like, nobody is saying, like, you know, is this progress or is this just the logic of capitalism? You know, that anything that they can charge us for is better. So anyway, sorry. I've been trying, and I succeeded up until that moment.
You're doing great, Elizabeth. Hang in there. But like, remember that AI, I mean, the AI didn't just get created. It's been around. And I mean, I can't speak for the, you know, developers who work on AI and work on machine learning, but they do, I highly doubt they have education in mind, either as a use case or as a, you know, someone to benefit from AI. Like, they don't care about it, the fact that students use it and stuff like that. They want to sell it to companies. Like, I just had an ad on my YouTube channel for a company who will govern your AI for you. So like, they'll keep it in line, right? Like, they'll write rules for it and make sure it doesn't go rogue, and then it does what you want it to do and update its rules as things change, and like a whole company that just governs your AI for your company. And I was like, Skynet, here we come. Like, let's all watch Terminator and just like see our future. You know what I mean? Like, it's terrifying, but that's where we are now. And so that's what interests them, you know, which is annoying. So there's my rant. Okay, there's my negativity. So
I think that can go under ban. We become Skynet.
yeah, put Skynet under ban AI. We have 2 more minutes. Any rants, ideas, positive, negative, thoughts, questions?
If you think of some questions after the fact, feel free to add them here because I'm going to be looking at this down the line as well.
Definitely.
And we're going to keep adding.
And Daniela, you asked a great question in the chat. Does AI ever end up plagiarizing itself? If students feed it the same assignments, could they get the same essay? That's definitely possible because it's always going to be pulling from, I mean, I guess over time with machine learning, it'll, you know, as new information arrives in the internet, it'll receive new information. And over time, it learns more and more just in its existence. So in that way, the prompts it spits out could change as it learns more things to contribute. But I think that's definitely a possibility, especially if your prompt is very specific, and like even between students, their essays or answers wouldn't be that different. That could definitely happen. But that's a good question.
That's one of the big concerns, that actually the internet is not big enough, and that the AIs are running out of data to model on. And so they're actually beginning to suck up more of their own own generated content. And so it's a general crapification of the whole information system that they'll just start feeding on their own. They'll start eating their own output. And so, yeah, that seems like it would increase the potential for homogeneity.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here and for sharing all your thoughts and questions. The link to the slides is in the chat, but we'll put it in there again so you can reference some of those resources that we shared. And like Lindsay mentioned, this is an open mind mapping board, so you're all welcome to add things to it. And hopefully we'll do more AI sessions and add to it and add answers and things like that. The whole reason for this brainstorming format is just that there's not one right answer to how to address AI and use AI in our classes. Depending on our discipline, it's going to be different. So the more we can hear from each other and learn from each other, the better. So if there's any other questions or things you all want to chat with us about, Lindsay and I will hang out. But I hope you all got something helpful out of this. And yeah, let us know how we can help.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.